So today we have with us Tarini and Amogh for this first episode of our series. Both Tarini and Amogh are third year students pursuing economics honors. We are super excited to have you both with us to elaborate on your journey at our college. So let's get started. My first question is, as a fresher, how did you imagine your 3 years at SRCC to look like?
Well, that's a difficult question here. As a fresher, I didn't imagine anything specific about SRCC. I was just very excited to enter SRCC in the first place. And I had a couple of friends back from my hometown, so that was a big plus. I'm from Chandigarh. And I think that's it. I just knew that SRCC is a platform for exploring different opportunities. That's something I knew about SRCC. And I knew a little bit of things that happen in the college, but I wasn't so sure of how they pan out. And I think I just thought that okay, maybe by the end of 1 or 2 years at SRCC, I'll have a better view of things around the world and a better plan for myself as well. So that's just about it for me. Yeah, Amor could add on.
Yeah, I think in the initial phases, I did not have any particular kind of expectation from my college life. I was very happy to have gotten into one of the most prestigious institutions, as they call it. And I was really happy to have the opportunity to discuss and to talk with one of the greatest minds across the country, um, to forge friendships for a lifetime. That's what the basic college image is. You get an opportunity to make friends that would be there with you for a lifetime. And I think my college life has treated me very well in that regard. I also had some basic expectations with regards to, say, maintaining good grades and being good at academics and all, because that's something that I really like. Studying or reading books and all is something that I really enjoy doing. And yeah, those were some basic expectations, but regarding career or anything specific that I wanted to pursue, I had no idea. I was extremely clueless to start with, but things did pan out over the years. So yeah, that's the start of my journey.
Great. So it must have been exciting when you first entered our college, and you guys weren't expecting had any plan about it, but like you just wanted it to be a great experience to grow and learn. Great. So next question is, what were your main goals at that time, and did you how did you think of achieving them over the course of these 3 years? Like,
So just when we started out, I had a few goals in my mind. There was no specific plan, as I mentioned, was on as to how I would achieve them. But I had thought that I'll get better at chess and achieve certain our norms and those titles that we have. So I wanted to improve my ranking in chess. That was one goal, and the other was to understand economics, because I'd heard that eco honors is a tough course. So the other goal was to just, go through with the course and understand as much as I can. So these were about it when we started out.
Yeah, with regards to my experiences and goals to start with, again, I really wanted to study well. Economics was something that I really started liking from the the 11th and the 12th class themselves, before getting to college. And so I was quite fascinated about learning economics more deeply. So that was one goal, to explore economics in a much deeper manner, to study well, to keep my academics at a good position. Again, as I mentioned previously, another goal was to establish good friendships. And there's one particular thing that came up after like 10 to 15 days that I spent at college. And that's one of the most important part of SRCC culture, if I may. That's the societies. So I wasn't very much aware of this society culture before I got into SRCC, but over the period, talking to seniors and to friends, I got to know that, there's something called the society culture, and you really need to be a part of it. And, you have to explore a lot of things in the first year. There are lots of societies out there. So in the first months or so, I established a plan as to I have to get into good societies and probably just have a good position of responsibility, a research portfolio or so. So those were some basic goals to start with.
So I remember first day of class. I was with Amogh section at that time, and one of the professors asked us about a movie or a book. I think it was the movie The Beautiful Mind. And he said, how many of you have watched it? And just 2-3 people raised their hands, and Amogh was one of them. So at that time, I didn't know his name, but I just thought, oh man, this guy is really prepared for college.
All right, great. Now, moving on. So you told us about the goals that you had. Did things go according to them? Like, were you able to really achieve those goals? And also, just take us through your journey at SRCC so far over these 3 years.
Amogh, would you like to begin?
Yeah, certain things did go well, but I think more than 80 or 90% of times things weren't as expected. So I think Tarini would be able to relate with this. As students of economics, we have this particular term called the stochastic element, or the randomness that exists in any kind of a decision. So that's where you sort of expect something and things turn out to be very different. The outcomes are very different from what you had expected. So randomness will always be there. Things do not turn out as you had expected, as you had planned. But that is not to say that you don't plan, you don't set goals for yourself. After all, you have to maximize the deterministic part of it, which is that you can just set yourself over the path and then let things happen how they are.
Something similar for me, yes. As Amogh mentioned, that you have certain expectations from your course and you do fulfill them. Sometimes you struggle with a lot of parts, and I personally did struggle with a lot of parts of our course. So there's something that I still struggle with, is that I could very well understand a concept, but never actually solve a question on it. So you don't really understand how you would actually go into the world with this kind of with this kind of a background. And other things, other than academics, there were a lot of things that did pan out well and as planned, but there were many things that did not. So I am an international chess player, and entering college, as I mentioned, I had a certain set of goals with regards to chess, because, I just felt that till 10th, till class 12th, we're all, bound by certain school rules, certain exam dates, and even in college that's there, but in college you take your own decisions a little more often. And that's why I wanted to play more. And I finally, my parents also didn't have too many issues with me traveling alone, which was the case before I was 18. So I had those plans which were disrupted by the pandemic, and I couldn't play tournaments. That was one thing. So that was a major hit in my case. But at the same time, there were certain things which I didn't plan for, but went very well. So I didn't really plan to be part of societies or to have a position of responsibility in any society, but I ended up being the vice president of the finance and investment cell. So that I think that's something I didn't plan for, but it just was one of the most key takeaways from this college experience. It's not just about the position or about what you do academically. It was a lot more about the relationships we formed over the course of 1-2 years.
Yeah, so Tarini, how you mentioned that you are an international chess player and you've been to so many tournaments over the course of years. So how has your experience in that thing been? And do you think that at any point in time that you were overwhelmed with college commitments to focus on chess, and you were overwhelmed by, your chess to focus on your college commitments?
Yeah, so I've been playing for the last, at an international level for the last 10-12 years. And I started chess when I was just, 5 or 6, but initially it was more of a hobby. And over the course of years, I've had great experiences with chess. I have learned very valuable lessons. I have had a very good time also in a lot of tournaments. And I've seen this sort of, you could say this fight for persistence, that you need to persist no matter what. Even if you have a bad tournament or a bad game, you have to go back next day playing with your 100%, your 200%. So this was a very important lesson for me from chess. Yeah, so it's been overwhelming quite a few times in college as well, because you enter college and you have a set of goals with your chess, and a lot of different things happen. So I remember I was playing a tournament in August 2019 in Abu Dhabi. And that was the time when college applications for societies started. So I was not sure how to go about it. And I remember we just had one free day in Abu Dhabi. And I spent the whole of free day writing up my society applications in different societies. And I couldn't even choose because I didn't even know for how many interviews I'll be able to make it when I go back. So it was a very good experience for me because I got these opportunities. But at the same time, so for example, in my nationals, if I won the last game, I'd be in top 5, and I lost, I ended up 14th or 15th, I think. So times like those, you want to reassess your position and your priorities. So it becomes overwhelming, but I think what I could take away from all this is just to keep going with it, maintain the balance, and recognize that if you can't put in the time, it's okay. I mean, sometimes you'll not be able to put in the time, kind of results, okayish results, which is also okay. But right now, after everything, I mean, after the placement I would want, and like now I started, now I really want to work on chess properly.
Right. So, Amogh, like you mentioned, you've been very passionate about research, and that was also one of the PORs that you were aiming for. And as far as we know, placements are also something that you're not actually aiming for. So, like, what do you plan on doing after college? Is it that you want to pursue higher education, or build more on your research part?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm pretty much clear that I wish to pursue economics further, which is like maybe a research career or a career in a think tank or anything of that sort that revolves around economics. I'm not sure what I will be doing in the future. Will it be like becoming a professor, or I mean, just pursuing some research portfolio, or I mean, corporates as well require a lot of specialists in economics, economists and all. So I'm not sure where I'll be ending up, but yeah, surely I really wish to spend more time with economics, and that inherently translates into saying that I will be pursuing masters. At least I plan to pursue masters. Now, how things turn out, that's entirely secondary. I'm not really sure what universities I'll be getting into. But yeah, I mean, more or less, it's all about getting, I mean, being with economics for at least a couple of years more, and then maybe whether or not to pursue a PhD or continue with core economic academic research, or diversifying into research in the corporates and all. I mean, those are the huge arena that is available in front of me. But right now, I'm not really sure what I'll be pursuing. But yeah, masters is definitely one thing.
So now that you guys are halfway through your third year, with hindsight, do you think you guys could have done anything differently or would like to do anything differently?
I think if you start like that, you would want to change your 3 years, but no, nothing like that. Because the way it ended up, even though I hadn't planned, as I mentioned, but the way it ended up, it was pretty good. So I'm happy with the outcome, and that's why I'd not want to change anything specifically. But if there's any lessons in hindsight to understand from, there's one important one that you shouldn't probably, I mean, I feel that I shouldn't really beaten myself up at times when I was just doing one thing at a time. Because, so from my profile, it looks like I'm doing 10 things at a time, but no, At one point in time, I'm doing only one, and so that's the thing that I think is okay, because as long as you're investing yourself properly in whatever you've taken up, it's good enough. And yeah, another one was that being around people who seem to have everything figured out, you just feel you're supposed to figure out everything right now. So I don't think, I mean, at this point in time, now I feel that it's okay. It's not really necessary to have it all figured out. You can plan a few things and leave the rest for later. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think the point regarding figuring things out and maybe sort of trying to emulate others in a way, I think that's something that we should really not engage in. I think everybody has got their own unique portfolios, unique interests. And so to start with, in the initial days at least, I was quite worried that maybe I won't be able to, make myself look like that X person, or maybe do something that that person has already done, or do a particular thing that would make me eligible for a particular outcome, maybe a placement also, because at that time I wasn't really sure whether I'll be pursuing masters or placements. I was quite confused. So the point is that there is no one unique recipe that you need to follow in order to do something or achieve something. It's important to have goals in place, and those get figured out over the period. I mean, you don't have to worry a lot about it. It does take time. So the most important thing is you give yourself a lot of time. Do not rush, because I think one important regrets that I have, uh, in at least in the initial days and all, is that I used to worry a lot for not being able to do particular things, maybe not making into societies that I wanted to. I mean, there have been a lot of societies, in fact, that have not accepted me as a member and all. I mean, those things do go on, and you have lots of disappointments. The only point is that you do not feel bad about yourself, do not lose trust in your abilities. And yeah, I mean, if you're able to do that, and that's the learning that I have from the 3 years. And yeah, I mean, if you're able to do that, then things do go pretty well. So everybody is unique. That's what I have realized over the period. So I would really like to suggest that.
Yeah, college life definitely has both highs and lows. So, when you guys joined college, did you have any misconceptions about how your 3 years would look like? Or not just college, did you guys have any misconceptions about career that you would be going ahead with?
One misconception I had about, you could see, for a very long time, till the end of second year, beginning of third year, that you need to have a consulting CV for a consulting job. That's one. I used to think that you need consulting internships if you have to get shortlisted for a consulting job, or you have to have done certain projects. And similarly, on those lines, I just felt that there was, as I mentioned earlier, there was a set format. You need internships, you need competitions, you need society PORs, all of that together to make your CV job ready. But that was a misconception, as I realized eventually, not just from my case, a few other cases as well. So I know people who didn't take part in any competition at all and still made it to a good company. So that was about career. And about college, I think it was just that generic one that entering college, you feel that it's going to be not exactly movie style, but still 50% of movie style fun. But you end up being the same, and you're still as naive. You don't suddenly turn into the best decision maker of your life, or you don't suddenly start enjoying to this extreme, and you were earlier just at the opposite extreme. That all didn't happen as you particularly imagine.
Yeah, I mean, with regards to certain misconceptions regarding college, there was this huge misconception that I had to start with. I felt that, given that SRCC has such huge cutoffs, and I mean, it's a general understanding, at least outside SRCC, that people in SRCC are the most brilliant people coming, from across the country. And they are just focused about academics, just focused about getting marks and all. So that's one misconception that I had to start with. But during the course, I realized that people are hugely different. They're not just concerned about marks; they're concerned about a lot of things. They are talented in a lot of things. So, for example, Tarini is a great chess player. Isn't something that I could have imagined when I had come. At least in the first day or during the orientation day, I wasn't really aware that people would be so diverse. I thought, okay, everybody is just studious, everybody is just interested in sitting in libraries for long hours, just getting good marks and all. So that's one major misconception that just got busted over the period. Regarding careers and all, I think there are general misconceptions. As I mentioned previously, people tend to think that there is a unique recipe to get a particular thing. That's not true. Everybody is unique, and everybody, achieving a particular thing can have different paths, and it's fine if you take a different path that is not similar to what someone else has taken. So yeah, everybody has their own unique experiences, and that is fine.
Great. So, Tarini, like you already, mentioned about how you also felt that you lacked those certain factors to make a good CV to get shortlisted, and you were very skeptical of going for placements or, for chess and all. So, since you mentioned you did not have any particular internship or case competitions on your CV, so did you find it difficult, or was there something extra that you need to justify while, getting a placement at one or the such companies?
It is a question for sure. I have experienced it a couple of times in my interviews. Rather, even my BCG interview had the question that is, why not an internship? Why so many research and publications? Why a section for research and publications, no section for internship? And I got a sense in one or two other companies as well that they were not satisfied with my previous work experience. So I will not lie about this thing that there were some hurdles, but I think in the end, it's about how you spin your answer. So how you justify yourself. So you do have to justify yourself sometimes, no doubt. But if your justification is good, you clear that test, So in that particular BCG round, I could make it to the day 2. So after that, so it's not like it acted negatively against me, or maybe I don't know about the other companies, those one or two companies that I'm talking about. But I just feel that at least from my end, I could have a good justification as to why not a particular internship, why go into research, why do volunteering. So I had a very good volunteering project on my CV. That was with the United Nations. So I personally feel that I learned at least as much as, or maybe even more as part of the project than I would in some other internship. So I think that's how you talk. And you also, explain the very fact that you didn't want to get into an internship that did not add value to yourself. So I didn't want to get into an internship that didn't add value to me, just added value to my CV. Because I have plenty of time to add things to my CV, I think at 19 or 20. So that was my thought process, that I can any day get an internship, a random internship if I want, but trying for the good ones, I couldn't make it. Rather, I even mentioned this in the interview that went well for me, that, I tried for good internships, I didn't get it, but I didn't want to do a random internship, and that's why I went into other opportunities, exploring other opportunities. So it's fine. It's about probably just being real enough with your answers in interviews.
All right. So, Tarini, you said that you had an unconventional CV without internships and case competitions. And Amogh, you talked about exploring the various things that, say, in our first half of college. So, what do you guys think are for that our juniors can explore in their first year at college, apart from just societies and internships?
So there is this set of things that you can always do, the standard set of things, that is internships, competitions, societies. I think these three come to my mind over the top of my head. And I think this works pretty well. It's not like this doesn't work at all. Of course, it works. It's tried and tested. But of course, as we were talking about, there's a lot many other things that can be done. So a couple of things. First of all, attending classes is very underrated. So I feel that you can actually attend classes and gain a lot from it alone, just attending classes, just, attending the first week of all classes, understanding where your interests lie, taking up 2, 3 subjects that you want to continue with full dedication over the course of the semester, and attending those classes. It's okay. You don't want to do the homework. It's fine. It's just that if you can't do the homework, it's fine. If you can't prepare for internals, it's okay. But at least attend the classes. Like, that's the bare minimum. So that's one thing I felt. Others were, as I mentioned, I was part of a volunteering project. I think a lot of us can go into, the volunteering side. It's not about what it adds to your CV. It's about the kind of exposure you get. So you get to meet different kinds of people with different set of goals. So you could have someone from an engineering background in the volunteer group. You could have someone from the research background. Someone is pursuing their PhD and they're part of my group. And you could have someone from the teaching end. Someone is a teacher, they're part of the group. Another is a student of, I think, finance. So it's just that you get a very good exposure of of interacting with people from diverse backgrounds. And it kind of gets you in touch, the process of volunteering gets you in touch with the real on-ground reality as well. So I think sometimes we, as college students of DU or probably SRCC, feel stuck in a bubble of our college. And that's a very good way to get out of it. And other things, I think one important aspect is reading and writing. That's what I feel. So I don't have to list down the benefits of reading. There's a lot many. And one thing I find good about reading is that it's not just about reading books. Anything I read, it helps me see whether I would be interested in something or not, whether I want to take it up in the future sometime or not. So it helps me eliminate career options like that. And so if I can't sit through a 2,000-word article of a certain topic, then how can I expect myself to go further into that field? I mean, I could expect myself, but I don't think I will. So someone else might, but I don't think I can. And even in writing, I think not just for your publication's sake, of course, the benefit is that you can get it published, but also it helped me sort of articulate my expressions well. And that doesn't help you just in your future writing projects or future research. It also helps you in your interviews for placements. I realized that. So that process of going through writing, making drafts, rewriting them, editing them, that kind of molds your personality for interviews better. That's what I felt at a personal level.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of points there, in fact, and a couple of them, even I felt, I mean, I should have done, I did not do, but there are certain things that, can be very good to explore in the first year, especially because you have a lot of time. You are not dedicated towards a particular thing. You're not sure. I mean, a lot of us are not sure what they're going to do. So it's all the way more important that you explore a lot of sites. So for example, learning a new language is something that I really wish I would have done. People just go on attending societies, meetings, and just, in general, are not able to take out time for things like reading books or writing something and all. I think that's a bit of a common experience of at least the first few months. I mean, you just forget about reading new things and all. I mean, if you are fortunate enough, if the first years are fortunate enough to go to SRCC offline, then our college has got a great library. If you explore our library, you'll get books that are like really phenomenal. So these are certain important things that first years can keep in mind.
Great. So since both of you talked about it, stressed on the importance of reading, like what do you suggest that your juniors can read to get the most out of it? Also, can you guys just tell us about a few books that are on your reading wish list?
Okay, so what? So your first question was what sources you can read and what books, right?
Yeah.
So when I mentioned reading, I personally don't read a lot of books. That's something I want to work on. And when I mention reading, it's just reading whatever I like on the internet. So not just entertainment things, no, not that. But say I found a good article on Mint. I read a lot of good Mint articles in my first year, and I read, sometimes articles from The Economist or The Hindu. So these are sources, a few interesting sources that I found. One was bigthink.com. It's not your usual eco finance stuff, but it's something very different. So I just enjoy it. Yeah, and about books, probably Amogh can take up.
Right. I mean, I was in fact going to focus this answer upon books itself because I haven't been involved in reading from a lot of other media. Books have been the principal ways of reading more or getting to know more aspects of, say, economics or in general. So certain books that I really like, and the most important book that I consider people especially interested in understanding human complexities or the human civilizations and all those aspects. Maybe for some of them this might be quite boring, but for those who really enjoy these aspects, I think Sapiens is a great book by Professor Harari. It's a wonderful book. It's a wonderful book. It takes you over the entire journey of human civilization, right from the existence to agricultural revolution to industrial revolutions to evolution of religions and all those aspects. It's a great book. There's other one called Black Swan. That's a wonderful book as well. There are lots of books pertaining especially to economics. So an easy one, a primer of sorts that really takes you on an interesting journey of economic aspects around you is called Freakonomics and Super Freakonomics, the sequel of that book. There's other book titled Predictably Irrational by Dan Ariely, which is a great book as well. There are other behavioral economics books like Thinking Fast and Slow. This is a wonderful book by Daniel Kahneman, the Nobel laureate. This is a great book, and I really urge students of economics to read this book because this gives a lot of insights. So yeah, I mean, there are lots of behavioral economics books and economics books in general that I've been reading. But yeah, these were certain books that I really wish every student of economics reads because these are quite interesting.
I think all of us are going to have 5 to 6 editions in our wish list now. This was really an insightful session, and I think it's going to help a lot of us. Shashit, if you'd like to add.
Yeah, so we have come to the end of this discussion, and it was great having you guys. Thanks a lot for sharing your insights, and we really do hope that our juniors and all the coming batches, in fact, even the SRCC aspirants out there who are in their high school, would go through these videos and take notes from. Great, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. It was an honor.